Good evening. Today is the 7th of October, about 8:33 p.m. here in New York, and we will be starting our second session of the October batch of SoapUI. Today is day two, so I want to welcome a couple of new folks who have joined this session today. I hope you have watched the video that we have forwarded it to you, meaning this is the second session. So there was a 2-hour class that we have already completed on Monday. So you should have already watched that. If you have not, my serious recommendation is as soon as we get out of this session, the sooner the better. You should be watching that day one video. Now, for the rest of you guys, let me ask you if you have completed the assignment. So I know at least one or two people are struggling with the installation, and I think it was Afshan who had sent me where you have mentioned that you were not able to install. Now, I need to find out if you were not able to install or you were not able to open up a workspace. So, because looking at the very first line, it says that you were not able to open a workspace. So that is different from not being able to install. So I need to find out if you had any issues with the installation. Can you do this? Let me rephrase my question. When you have your desktop, on your desktop, do you see this shortcut? And if you see the shortcut, when you double click on that shortcut, does this open up? Does this open up? If that opens up, that means that you have successfully installed. Now, if you're not able to start a workspace or do things like that, that's a different story. But according to your email, the email said you were not able to install. So we need some clarification on that. All right. Because looking at your error, it tells me that there was an illegal XML character that might have caused that. So I need to know a little bit more about that. Okay. Now, while she's figuring it out, let me quickly go to Shweta. Shweta, you said you have a question. If you want to talk to me, I will unmute you, and then you can tell me what is your question, or you can type your question. So let me unmute you. Go ahead, you're unmuted. Talk to me. Shweta, you are unmuted. Talk to me. Oh, oh, no. I am scared now. I am scared because your voice is today, is this Friday the 13th? No. There's something not right with the way your microphone probably is set up. Your voice is like totally muffled. I cannot hear you. So talk to me again. No, I am. If you want to continue this session, we better mute you back. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very scared because I'm all alone in my house and I. No, I think, Shweta, there is some issue with the audio. So I want you to either type the question or if you can hear me clearly, probably it's your microphone, I guess, Shweta. So, type your question, right? Meanwhile, while you type your question, let me go to Rajkumar. Mr. Rajkumar, I will unmute you. Go ahead with your question. Go. You're unmuted.
Yeah, good evening. I just gone through the video on first day, and I submitted the assignment,
Okay.
and just want to inform me that I
Um,
tried.
Okay, can you talk a little louder? I have bumped my speakers, but still you are a little low. So come closer to the microphone and talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, I watched the first day video and I sent the assignment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm asking you to please go through on it, whether is it okay
Okay.
or
Yeah, I'll do that. Usually, when you submit your assignments, they come to me right here in TrainingRite, and I have not seen any assignment submitted here. So
oh,
I don't know which email you have.
I sent through Outlook.com. That's which I received that email
Okay, that's my
for the
personal
session.
email.
Oh,
So I will type the email address that you can send it to right now, and you can send it to this email, and then I will look into it. I mean, my personal email, probably you sent it in here, and there it is. So that's your assignment. So this was sent. Uh, I don't know when this was sent, but if it was sent recently, like an hour ago, then I have not
no,
looked.
around 2 minutes back, I think around 5 minutes back, I sent it.
Please don't expect me to even look into it till
Okay.
the session. All right, okay, but
All right. Okay. Thank you.
okay, all right. Let me mute him back. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, I think Shweta had typed something. So I'm trying to create a project with initial WSDL. We need WSDL files to browse. Also, where can I get my first day recording of the class? Okay. Um, Now, just out of curiosity, if you have not seen the recording, then how did you manage to even do the assignment, or how do you know what I talked about? So that means that, I mean, if you're talking to me about, were you in the session on day one? Oh, you were there in day one. Okay, you were there. Okay. Then here is what you got to be doing, and this is for Shweta. This is for Shay, and this is for Rajkumar. These are the guys who were not there on day one. So and for the rest of you folks, just bear with me for a quick 2 more minutes, and then we'll start today's session. You folks have to go to your email, and you might, not you might, you will see some emails that we have sent to you from Screencast. They might have gone into your spam folder, so just go ahead, take a look into that, and you should see Screencast emails. So open those emails and click, and once you click on that, you will come to Screencast. So it's going to show something like that. Now, you have to log in. Now, you cannot be logging in unless you have an account. So I want you to create an account using the same email address that you have received the screencast on. So use the same email address, give some password, doesn't matter. Give yourself a display name like your own name or something, whatever you want to. And after you sign up, you will find that folder of SoapUI from the previous classes, not just this batch, but we have also shared some other previous batches also. But it is important for you to open every email that comes from Screencast and then click on the link. And as you click on the link, that's a way of saying it to Screencast that I accept this invite from TrainingRite to watch the videos. And as you click on that link, those videos will pop up. If you don't click on the link inside the email, those videos will not show up in your account. All right, so that's important. So that answers your question about the videos. Now, as far as the WSDL is concerned, we also made you member of our Google groups. So after you log in, and it's important that you have a Gmail address. If you have a Gmail address, you will be logging in to your Gmail address, and then type here groups.google.com. When you type groups.google.com, I am the admin of TrainingRite, so I happen to see all these groups because I created those groups. We offer these trainings, so those are the groups. In your case, probably you're going to be seeing the SoapUI, TrainingRite SoapUI Web Service Testing. So you got to be going inside this group. So just click on that. And a lot of students that have taken this course in the past 4 or 5 years, they have written so many, there are so many topics in here, so many threads, and we have been posting things in there. So in order for you to look into the WSDL, you type WSDL links, hit enter. That should bring you up here, WSDL links. Click on that, and notice that this is all your WSDL, right? And I will also be adding more to these WSDL. So as I cover some newer web services, I will share with you those newer web services. All right. Okay, so that's that. Now let's move on to today's session. Afshan, were you able to figure out what's going on with that? And if you figured it out, then that's good. If not, you can talk to me after the session, and then I can take a look into what's going on, right? Hopefully, with today's session, things will settle down with you folks, because the last session we had 2 hours, and I had to introduce so many different concepts, and probably you were not too comfortable with what happened in the last 2 hours of the first session. So today things will be settling down. Okay, very good, Afshan. Let's do that then. You cannot see the display. Shweta, what do you mean by you cannot see the display? I don't know what you meant by that. So let me close this and let me get going with, ooh, hang on. No, I don't want to exit out. Okay, so just jogging your memory from the previous class, we did talked about SoapUI and Ready API. SoapUI is the older version and the open source, and the Ready API is the newer version and the pro version of it. So I have shown in the previous class, I discussed, and I have shown you all the details about how to download this both and install. And this should answer your question if there is one about can you have more than one version of SoapUI on your machine. So you can have open source as well as the pro version. Now, as we progress in this course, we will be talking about the differences between the two. Hopefully, by the end of the session, you will learn at least some differences, not everything. But as we continue further into these sessions, you will get to know about the differences and which version you should have, and let's say if your company doesn't have the pro version, why you should make a case for having one, because you will see the goodies or the major advantages that you would get out of the pro version. I understand sometimes we have folks who sit on top of us with power, and they are not willing to budge, and that they're not willing to go with your suggestion of the pro version. In that case, we have no other choice but to work with the open source, and that is the reason I will be teaching you both the open source as well as the pro version. Now, with the pro version, you will see life, very, very easy things happening without doing much, but when we come back to the non-pro or the open source, there will be times when I will not be surprised if you will be pulling your hair out, because there's not much you can do with the open source version unless you know Groovy, right? And fortunately, unfortunately, Groovy is a scripting language, meaning you have to be learning programming. Not everybody knows programming, and I don't expect you to know anything of Groovy or anything of any programming. It's my challenge that I transfer the knowledge in the best possible way, so that in the next 7 sessions that we have, including today's, you will be much more comfortable dealing with both the pro as well as the non-pro, meaning you will be very comfortable dealing with Groovy as the scripting language, even though right now you don't know anything about it, and that's not like offending anybody. If you know something, then more power to you, and I appreciate the fact that you know it. But I'm gonna consider as if you don't know anything about it, and we're gonna be starting as if you have no idea of what is Groovy. But Groovy is gonna come probably in the next session. So today, I will not be introducing any Groovy to you, any programming to you. So today, guess what? We will be dealing with the Pro version. So at this point, I will make an assumption that you all have the Pro version downloaded, or if not, at least you have the idea of where to download, how to install it. If not, then that's a major thing that you have to do after we end today's session. Go back, watch the video, download it, install it, and once you install, this is what we're going to be doing. Let me set a plot. Let me lay out a plan of what we are going to be doing right now, and then we will go ahead and then we implement it. Let's say fast forward 3 weeks, let's make an assumption that you have completed the course, and then you have gone through some interviews, and you've been selected by some XYZ company, right? And day one meet and greet, you're happy that you're working for this company, and then they're happy that they have hired you. And now on day two, let's say, not that on day two things would happen unless this is a super fast corporation that you have joined, because usually in my past life of 23 years of working in IT, I have noticed that things, they don't move that fast. It takes at least like a couple of days for a new employee to settle down and to get their whatever we need to give them for them to get started. So let's say we pass that stage, and now today you are starting. So first things first, you are expected to do what? You're expected to test some web services. And forgive me if you find me repeating today for a couple of minutes about what these web services are. So basically, that web service that you will be asked to test, it will be that web service. Basically, it'll be either an XML-based web service, right? Or it'll be a REST web service. Now, today, forgive me for not talking about REST web service today, because I don't want to. This will come probably on day 4 or day 5. So for the next 2, 3, 4 days, I'll be focusing extensively on the XML-based web services. All right. Okay. So our focus is going to be on XML-based web services. So first of all, let's talk about what is a web service. You all know that web service is nothing but some code or some program a developer had created and he had deployed. So this web service will be deployed, or rather would be sitting on a server. So if I don't draw something big, that should not take away the fact that server is a huge machine. So let's say this is your server, and as you can see, I'm struggling with my drawing, so don't worry too much about that. This is your server. On the server, the developers, they have deployed, this is your web service. So what is web service? Some code written in what language? Now, I would say, do you care? As a tester, do you really care what language that code was written? Quite honestly, any technical person, if knows a little bit more about what language and all that, it's not going to hurt. But it is not mandatory. It is not required of us that we should know what language that code has been written, or what platform it is deployed on. But it's always a good situation if we happen to know it. So web services can, majority of the times, these are either Java web services, or these are .NET platform web services, meaning that either it's written using Java as the language, or C# or VB.NET as the language, or there can be any other languages that they could be using to write those web services. So we really don't care what kind of code they might have used in order to create the web services, right? Just understand the fact that it's some code, right? It's some code. Now, it's not enough for us to say that it's some code. We have to understand, and we have to say that, because we are not business users. We are not we are, whether you agree or not, we have to be technically educated enough that we should be able to understand the jargon that these web services they offer. So you will hear these words. You will hear the words functions. You will hear the words interface. You'll hear the word operations. You will hear the word requests. You will hear the word response. You will hear the word SOAP. You will hear the word envelope. Now, some of the things might already be clear to you after this day one, but after today's session, you should have absolutely no fear of understanding everything about the XML based web services, because I'm gonna rip apart and show it to you, dissect every little detail of what an XML based web service consists of, and so that there is no doubt or confusion about what it is that we are going to be testing. So in other words, as we are testing that program from a developer's perspective, the web service that he had created from a developer's perspective, they have created some functions, right? They also are referred to as methods. They have created some functions. What is a function? A function is something that will do some work. So to give you an example, let's say you are paying a bill, right? So you are renewing. Let's say you are renewing your you fill in the blank, whatever it is, right? You're renewing you have been to DMV, and you want to renew your license, right? So the software that is in the software that's written by the developers about that operation, or that function, that behavior, would be something like renew, right? Renew license, right? Renew license. So renew license would be a function, and for that function, whose license are we renewing? So the person who's sitting on the other side of that window in the DMV, she's entering what? She's entering your license number, right? As soon as she enters your license number, some details would pop up, not necessarily your picture and things like that. This is a visual, right? But there's also some other details, like this is your license number, this is your home address, and this is your social security, whatever information is popping up as a part of that renew license, because that renew license is a function that is going to do some work, right? So in software, basically developers, they write functions, right? They write functions. Now, functions are nothing but some code which is doing some work, right? Okay. Now, those functions, if those functions, they need to be exposed so that they can be used by some other agencies like cops, right? Let's say when a cop, when he enters your driving license number, right? your driver license number when he enters that. Let's say it has to go to some server to pull that information. So on that server is everything about driving license of everyone. Like I don't even know how it works, if it works state-wise or it goes federal-wise. I don't know how it works. But when a cop enters that, cop is sitting in a car, he's entering it on his dashboard, right? Whatever he has, he enters his, and it goes and connects to some server. And then from the server, it comes back and says here that this license is suspended, and because you are a DUI and you've been drinking like crazy, and so he's going to come to you and then he's going to arrest you. So the idea here is the information is being pulled because that information is being allowed to be shared. So the idea here is you build that function as a let's say as a web service so that anyone can pull it. What do you mean by anyone? Cop can pull it. Let's say there is some agency who wants to pull it, like they are hiring you and they want to do your background check, right? And fortunately, unfortunately, let's say they're hiring you for a driver's position. So in that case, you better have your driving license, all clean. So they have to pull your driving license. So this is a company, this is a corporation that is going to pull it. So there are different people, different entities who would be pulling that information. So they got to expose it as a web service. So the web service means that, that information that we have here can be shared, can be pulled. All right. Okay. Now, you cannot be giving this person one information, this person some other information. It has to be consistent. The information has to be consistent. So consistency is what are we giving out? What is this web service going to be sending out to someone who is going to consume this? So there is going to be a consumer who is going to consume that web service, and the web service is nothing but a provider, right? So the web service provides the information and a consumer would be consuming it. So the consumer can have any device. They can have a laptop, they can have a phone, they can have a mobile device, they can have a computer with a browser. So I mean, different ways of consuming it. Now, guess what? You have to have a web service for someone to even, take a look at it, consume it, right? So first things first, the developers, they have to create the web service. Now, once they create the web service, the idea here is to allow this web service to be consumed by whoever want to consume it, right? But before even we do that, we have to test it, right? So the way we are going to test it is using a tool, and then there are many tools like that. SoapUI happens to be one of the tools. So before even it goes into production for somebody even to consume it, that needs to be rigorously tested. And the way we're going to be testing it is using this tool called SoapUI. So for us, we need to understand as how we can see it. So we will not have a browser. We will not have a mobile device. Not that there is anything wrong in consuming it that way, but the tool that we are going to use, the tool will not have a UI like a user they would have. A user, the end user might have a computer, might have a computer is a browser basically, might have a laptop, might have an iPad. So even in an iPad or even in a laptop, it is rendering, they're consuming it through a browser. If you have a mobile device, maybe they have an app that is going to consume it. So irrespective of who is consuming it, we will be going through SoapUI. So we will be mimicking as if we are the consumer of that, and then we will test it. So the way the testing is done is you have to know few things, and those few things are as follows. You have to know, and again, so far I'm still repeating day one, so you have to be knowing address, binding, and contract, right? And this information, ABC, is present in WSDL. WSDL is too technical, right? Too technical, and believe it or not, WSDL is written in XML, and WSDL is too technical. So a lot of people, they shy away from even looking at WSDL, because they would say that, oh, the information inside the WSDL is all XML and it is so technical that I am scared to look at it. So I will let SoapUI look at that WSDL. So for us to do any testing, we have to have the WSDL given to us, right? So when we have the WSDL given to us, the criteria of us going and testing is, number one, I have to be having this WSDL. So once we give me the WSDL, then I can go ahead and I can test it. And while we are testing, we need to know a couple of things. First of all, we need to create a workspace. So if there is anyone here who has any confusion about what is a workspace, ask me now. Ask me now. Don't ask me in day 7, oh, what is a workspace? Because I have seen people asking day 7, can you please explain me what is. So right time is now. Ask me what is a workspace if you don't know. Workspace, again, is an area on your machine, where on your computer, where we will be saving everything. What do you mean by everything? Everything is your project, right? So in order to test what? In order to test a web service, you have to have a project first. In the project, you have to be pointing. When you open a project, you have to be providing the WSDL. When you provide the WSDL, this is exactly what happens. Your SoapUI goes and looks into that WSDL. And where is the WSDL? Where is WSDL? Is WSDL a cookie, or is it like a candy? What is it? It's an XML document. Where is it? This XML document or WSDL is on the server. So let's say this is the server. And do you know where the server is? It can be in London, it can be in Singapore, it can be in Mumbai, it can be in California, it can be anywhere. So the physical location in terms of street address or zip code and all that means nothing, right? Means nothing. It could be anywhere on the other side of the planet. I don't care, because today with the internet you can get connected to wherever it is. So the physical proximity or the distance does not matter. What matters is you have to have the idea of the address of the server. So the address of the server is given as the URL. So your WSDL will be which is the name of the server and the folder inside it. And because they will be this WSDL as a document, as an XML document, would be somewhere lying probably is not a good word, or is deployed or stored on a server. So a server is www.com or .net, right? / now maybe some folder, and then you will have question mark WSDL. So that somehow points to this document, WSDL document. So SoapUI, when it goes over the internet, when it goes and gets connected to this WSDL, what does the WSDL expose? ABC, address binding contract. So it will show you the following. WSDL comes back and it gives you basically the interface. It gives you the interface. And what is an interface? Now, the word interface, if you are sitting in a car, what is your interface, right? Steering wheel, right? Ignition, or your brakes. That's how you work with a car, right? Interface is something that you will work with. So what is the interface of the whole thing is what? Web service. So bottom line, the interface is, we are talking in context of what? Not a car, but a web service. So the interface exposes, my car's interface exposes to me what? The steering wheel, the brake, the accelerator, the gear, the, these are the things, the tires. If the car is not running, I'm just gonna look into, did I, turn on the ignition or not, right? So things like that. So if my web service, I need to know my interface. The interface of my web service is nothing but the exposing of, showing off what? Showing off, basically showing off operations, right? So if I can only see the operations, I can only see the interface if I got connected to the wisdom. So at this point, I am actually connected. I'm actually connected to the server, and the server is showing me the interface. The interface is the operations that it exposes. What are operations? Operations are nothing but those methods or functions the developer had written, and the design of the system is such that he had written those functions and he is exposing for whoever wants to use it. So there will be many operations, and there will be many operations, and each operation exposes to you something called a request. And the request is nothing but your intent of executing or calling that function. So if you send a request, that's equivalent to executing that function or calling that function. Now, that function or a method or that operation, that how we should be calling, might need some input data. How will you pull a driver's information if you don't give the license number? I mean, how will you put, there is something, I mean, you have to provide. So the things that you are passing, those are called parameters. So you have to pass some parameter or parameters. Now, depending on, can you pull some information about your license, just providing the name. Now, it is good that you provide the name, but there might be so many, so many what? John Smiths, right? So there should be something unique that you have to provide. So in the contract, right? There will be discussion of, hey, whenever you are going to be calling any operation, if you're calling operation, and the operation is pay my bill, right? And let's say you are AT&T, and you are testing this operation, pay my bill. I mean, to pay your bill, you gotta provide something to pay your bill. So what is that argument or the parameter? Maybe the phone number you have to provide, or maybe the account number you have to provide, right? Or maybe your social security number you have to provide, or maybe you have to provide all three. So that is a design issue, right, at the time. So those guys, they will sit down and design, like, okay, this operation for pay my bill, I have to at least provide a phone number and maybe social security number or something like that. So the point that I want to make here is operations will take what? Parameters. And once you provide your parameters, right, and what pay my bill should come back with, okay, you have a balance of $487. How do you want to pay, right? And then you will give like your credit card number or your check number, your whatever, your account number, and then it'll process it and it'll give you back the confirmation number saying that it has been processed, or it'll come back with a message saying that check with your credit card company, we cannot process it. So things like that. So that's basically what is happening. But in order for us to call that request, or basically call that operation, we have to be providing some parameters, and then it will come back with a response, and the response is yes, your payment has been processed, or things like that. That is the response. All right. Okay. So coming back in here, in SoapUI, first things first, I will go and then I will I will create a workspace, and I will have a WSDL. Then WSDL will be connecting, and it will expose me the interface, and then I will have one or more operations, and then the each operation will have a request, and then here is the actual testing happening. So when I invoke, right, when I basically run my request, right? When I run my request, I will get some response. So your actual test is to execute the request, to run the request and get the response, right? So that's how we will be doing it. But you cannot be running the request unless and until you have a workspace and you have a now Tim is asking or making or maybe asking a question saying that, hey, will the developers come up with the WSDL, right? He's asking. The answer is yes, based on the thing that they are developing. When you deploy it on the server. Now, since he asked me that question, I have to stress a little bit on the deployment here, right? So the final deployment, right? The final deployment, meaning when we are talking about the production, right? When we are talking about the production and all that, so many things at that time will matter in terms of the cluster of servers, because you would have like more servers here, right? So you would have more servers because you have a cluster now to balance the load and all that. So if we are not going in that route, let me just talk about the staging or the test servers. On the test servers, there will be a server. What is a server? A server is a machine with huge resources. So let's start off with your operating system. So you can have Unix as the operating system. You can have Linux as the operating system. You can have Windows operating system. You can any operating system. Now you'll have different flavors. Let's say Unix Sun Solaris. Let's say, right? Linux Mandrake would be the version of the software. Windows, let's say, Windows Advanced Server 2012. So operating system, it's good to know. If you know, if you don't know, don't worry about it. For our testing using SoapUI, it's okay to have an idea, but SoapUI really doesn't care. SoapUI as a tool doesn't care what is happening, what is the platform here. What it is interested here is on that web service. Now, one more thing. Two, we said about this server, we need to have some idea about the operating system. It can get deployed, your web service, based on the architecture or the design. In the beginning itself, they will decide that depending on what language we are using, we will deploy it on a certain server. Majority of the time, if we go back in time, I would say that Unix were the only servers. Today, I will not be mistaken if I say that around 50 to 60% of the deployment is happening on Windows servers these days, because they have come a long way. Windows, if we go back in time, and I can only talk about it because for the past 21, 22 years, this is what I've been doing. So this is what I know, and I can talk about it. I mean, if you ask me about anything else, what do I know about it? So I can only talk about it. So I can say from my experience, Windows have basically captured a huge market, from Unix, only because now it can provide optimum performance, unlike in the past where the Windows operating system had issues with memory leak, and every few days you had to reboot your servers, and that was like a downtime and all that. So all that garbage is gone now. These servers are pretty competent, and if your architecture demands that you deploy it on Windows, that is happening in today's world. So operating system is that. Then we talk about you cannot just be these are files, right? This is some code, so some files, right? There's nothing tangible about it, like okay, it looks of a certain shape or what. It's just some code, right? So you're going to be deploying it, some files. Now, web services, when you deploy on any server, will not work by itself. They got to have a special software on this server. That software is called web server software, or sometimes it's also called as app server. So what is this web server? There are web servers different web servers from different companies: Apache, Tomcat, JBoss, right? WebSphere, WebLogic, right? IIS, right? And the list would go depending on depending on many factors. Now, one of them being, are we going to be what is going to be the volume that is going to hit to call this web services? Are we expecting millions of hits coming and using this web service, or are we expecting like tens of thousands, or is it going to be like a few hundred users who would be accessing it? So based on that, there are going to be decisions made about these web servers. Now, do we need to know about these web servers? The answer is, again, if you know, better. If you don't know, no problem, right? What are these things? These web servers, what do? They help. You cannot have your web services, which is some code, just be sitting on a server. They got to be deployed on these web servers. So IIS is Internet Information Server from Microsoft. Apache is another from Apache, and JBoss, WebSphere. Companies like IBM and big companies like Oracle, IBM, and all that. These are their products, different products. So you don't want to have more than one, because it defeats the purpose of using that. So depending on the design, you will be using these web servers. And let's talk a little bit about now, Lee, sometimes if you don't hear my voice, here is the reason. Let's say if you, and again, this again from my experience, I'm talking about it. If you are on a Wi-Fi, right? If it is not connected to your modem or to your, if you're on a Wi-Fi, that bandwidth is being shared by, your son, your daughter, your wife, who might be watching Netflix or doing something on their iPads. Or if you say that, oh, I'm not even married, then depending on the location where you are, probably it's being, a lot of data is being streamed. By your neighbors or by whoever. So it's always better to hook up your wire into your machine. That will give you a clearer voice, because we are running it over the internet, and there's a pretty good chance that bandwidth is being shared. So try to put your wire in there, and then it'll be better. And even with the wire, sometimes you have to go out and come back in if the audio is not too good. Okay, coming back to these web servers. So what is the job of a web server? Now, please, on day 1 and day 2, I have to do some talking so that you have an understanding. And then once we start to do the hands-on, you will have a very good idea of what is happening. Okay, here is the deal. This is the server. On the server, the web services are deployed. So this will have, let's say that we have Advanced Server 2012 as the operating system, and this is your code, probably written in either in Java or .NET or whatever. So this is your web service, right? Collection of web services, many web services. This is in here. Now, if a user, right, from a laptop or from a mobile device or from whatever, they are supposed to use this web service, right? How they will use, I will tell you that story a little later. But over the internet, they are connecting to your server. When they connect to your server, right, your web service is in here. When they connect to your server, this is literally the way things work is, imagine somebody wants to talk to me right now, right, and they are at the door. So he could be on the other side. This is my house and this is where I'm sitting, and then they need to reach me. So he will be coming to the door, right? In other words, here the request is coming to in technical jargon of IT, they are knocking on the port. A man or a human would knock on my door, right, or on my window. He better knock on my door rather than on my window. But when a request comes, right, to the server, to the web service, it knocks, right, on a port. That port is port number 80. There are many ports on your, these are not like physical holes in your server. No, these are ports. So when you knock on a port, now if somebody wants to talk to me, either I get up and go and answer the door, or somebody inside the house would. So let's say on this server, the software that responds to the knocking, or to the request, or to the request that is coming on this port, the software that does that is called the web server software. So the web server software is responsible for hearing or acknowledging the request that is coming. And the request can be coming from multiple devices, and the volume can be huge. So depending on a lot of people coming in and asking, right? This is almost like Valentine's, and people want to buy flowers like crazy, as if like there is no tomorrow, right? Why in the world would they wait for that one day to give the flowers to their wives, or to their moms, or to their whoever? I don't understand. Why not a day before? Why not every day? If every day is too much, why not? I mean, I understand that's a special day, but you should give it to your wives and to your husband anytime. Anyways, that's beside our discussion here. So let's come back to our SoapUI. So the requests are coming to this port. Every time a request comes, your web server should be looking at the request. So let's say the web server is Apache, right? Or Tomcat, or JBoss, or WebSphere, or WebLogic, right? Or IIS, or whatever. So if any one of them, now, even though we install it, but let's say this web server is not started, right? Or meaning not running. What is not running? Web server is not running. If the web server is not running, that means that I am there in the house, but I'm sleeping, and somebody is knocking. What is going to happen at that time? They knock, 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 and then they will go away, right? Because I'm here, but I'm sleeping. I'm not awake. So the same concept, the web server has to be up and running all the time, up and running. So the major times, the majority of the times, the major issue that they have is the web server is down. If the web server is down, forget about 10 people trying to knock on the door. Nobody is gonna get any response, right? Because the web server is down. What if the web server is up? What is his job? His job, I don't even know if he or she, but the job of the web server is to look at the request, right? So let's understand how the request is going to come. The request comes as, right? How does it look? Does it look like an envelope? Yeah, if not, please bear with me. This is an envelope. So the request comes as an envelope. So what is there inside the request? This is inside the request is your information about your license number, information. So it'll be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, whatever the license number information. And then there will be like your name, right? Whatever your name, it'll be there. And there will be like your sex, right? Or your better word is gender, right? Male, and whatever information. So this information that is needed, by the web service, this information is packaged in an envelope, but that information is called payload, right? Payload. So all this information is encapsulated inside an envelope, and all that information is XML information, right? All that information is XML information. Now, let me very briefly show you here how that information is going to be. So that information is going to be something like this. It is going to be SOAP, right? Envelope. Now you would say, what the heck is SOAP? And I'll come to that. So it'll be SOAP envelope, and bear with me, there will be something in here like XML namespace, and I'll come to that in a minute. Bear with me. So that's SOAP envelope. The next thing that we will have in it is SOAP, right? Header, right? And if there is a header, then there will be the end of header, something like that. Then it'll be like that, right? And then there will be something called SOAP what? Body, SOAP body. And inside the SOAP body, then there will be something called let's say to give you an example, TrainingRite TRA, and there will be something like the name of that operation. The name of the operation is enroll student, and I'm making it up, right? So just bear with me and focus on what I'm doing, and if you get this, by God, you get everything. And take it from me. Just focus on what I'm trying to do in here, and within few seconds, everything is going to be clear in here. So we have a web service to enroll a student. So what do you think that web service enroll a student will be expecting? That web service of TrainingRite will be expecting, let's say, student name, right? It is expecting student name, and the value of the student name is going to be, let's say, Jimmy, and last name, I'll not take your last name, so I'll just call it that. End of what? TRA, student name, right? Okay. Then are they expecting only name? No, maybe they are expecting, enroll student is expecting that I should give your SSN, right? And trust me, this is not a valid SSN. I'm just typing something. End of TRA, SSN, right? Okay, I'll keep it short. So that's the end of it, right? Only two things are needed. So if you open, if you have, this is the call, right? This is the call to that. So now I have to say that this is, I'm ending this. These are the only two things I'm sending in there. So, and guess what? The next thing is, you are ending the body now. This is the end of the body. So you come in here and you say end of the body, right? End of body. And now, are you going to be typing all this? Heck not. You're not going to be typing anything. You're not going to be typing anything. And finally, you would be closing the envelope. I am just making your life a little easier by typing and then showing it to you. This is how this envelope is going to look, right? So this is what is coming. It's not like physical envelope somebody is going to bring. That's called a data packet. You cannot even see. I mean, do you see any rays right now? There are so many rays happening, and so basically when you click on something, that data packet is going across and it is going in here, and that's all networking. If you are a network engineer, you will be taught everything about how to change that data packet, how to protect it from not getting hacked, at this and that. We are not into all that. Our job, just understand the whole story, the plot, that when you make a request, it's going to go in here. So this is what the who is going to see this? Who is going to see this? Your web server, depending on which one we are using. If we are using JBoss job is, he should be up and running all the time, and he should look into the port 80, and he should look into this and open the envelope. Once he opens the envelope, this is what he or it is going to see. It is going to see that, oh, I need to call this. What is this? This is the operation. I need to call this operation. And so this is a request. The whole thing is a request that is coming. So it is going to go and find that on the server. And if you see here in the web services, there are many web services. So its job, Apache's or Tomcat, JBoss, IS, its job is not only to look at the data packet or the request in the form of the envelope, but it also opens the envelope and it goes and sees the request is for this operation. It goes in there and it rip apart. It looks into what is inside it. Oh, inside there is student name and social security number. So it hands it over to that operation. Now in the operation, that function, so that function would be something like this. Let's say that function would be enroll student, right? Enroll student. Enroll student is a function that is expecting what? Let's say string data type, and it is expecting your social security number, and string data type, it is expecting your what was the other thing that we were name. So name. So once that function, they will do something with it. They will check, because they want to enroll, so they will check if there is already a student and if this is the name, and then they will do something, and then they will give you some response. So the response again, the web server will put the response into this envelope, and the response is going to come back, and the response will come back in here, and the response is going to show either in your browser it will show, or in your phone it will show. So that is happening. So now I want you to think about it. Our job is to make sure that if I send social security number and the name, I should get something back, which is a message that our student is enrolled or the class is full. So we don't know what it is supposed to send back, because that is the design, and they will tell us what to expect. So what to send and what to expect, they will tell us, right? So say as an example, if the web service is about addition, right? What to send, they will tell you, send me two numbers, 100 and 856. And then they will tell you that, okay, we will send you 956. So they will tell you that when you send me 100 and 856, we will send you 956. So our job is to prepare the whole thing, like, from the WSDL, as how to connect to it, how to pass the request, how to expect the response. That's all we have to, right? And all that information going in the SOAP envelope, because that is the architecture. Let's say if you have come to Earth, right? I don't know if you watched that movie. There was a movie, Indian movie, Bollywood movie called PK, and I'm giving you this example when I have about six people who know nothing about this, because this is an Indian movie. But if you the plot of that movie is the guy comes from some other planet, and he knows nothing about what is happening on this planet Earth, so he learns everything. So imagine that you are coming to the Earth for the first time, and when you look at a car, you don't even know what the car is all about. But then today we take car for granted. So today you are like that alien who is down here when it comes to web services. You know nothing about it. You're hearing me, you're like, your eyes are like wide open, your ears are like very wide open, you're listening to me. But once you start experiencing with these things, you are going to be the expert at that time. So I will make you an expert probably in the next hour when it comes to simple way of testing web services. And day 3 we will data drive it. Day 4 we will bring Groovy. Day 5 we will. So as we are progressing, we will be doing things. Right now it is important to understand what we are getting into. So we are getting into testing the web service. Now testing the web service, you are hearing the word SOAP. Now, to me, when I heard it for the very first time in the year 1997, I heard the word SOAP. I was like, what is that? What is that, right? Soap, and very quickly, you think that it has something to do with the soap, right? But it is simple object access protocol, right? So soap. So simple object access protocol. So protocol is set of rules, right? What is the protocol of driving? The protocol of driving is when you see a red light, what do? You drive, you stop. I mean, the protocol, the rules, protocol is the rules. The rule says that if you see red, you stop. If you see green, you drive, right? So that's the protocol of driving. Now, in this SOAP, simple is basically we want to keep it simple to the extent that however huge or big the web service is, the model is not going to change. It will start with envelope, there will be header, there will be body, and this will be the call, and that's how the reverse is going to be the ending. So now anything, the quantity is you will be passing more and more and more and more and more and more and more data inside it, but the simple fact is it has to be encapsulated inside an envelope. So that from that perspective, it's a simple design, right? Simple. Object meaning that now consider the envelope as an object, and inside it you have the payload. Payload is the actual data that is moving back and forth, right? So simple object access protocol. Now the object or the envelope basically will be accessed by both the party, by here, by the client or the consumer, and by the provider. It is going to be accessed. So this the SOAP protocol, simple object access protocol, is the ability to move the data back and forth by putting the data into an envelope, and the envelope kind of like moves back and forth, and there is a protocol that needs to be followed. The protocol is the data or the flow of data is happening using HTTP hypertext transfer protocol, and that sits over something called TCP/IP protocol. So these are like cars, they run on roads, boats or ships, they run on water. So the data runs using this HTTP protocol, and TCP/IP is a way of connecting two entities or more than one entity on the internet. Each one will have a number. A client will have a number, a TCP/IP address as we call it, and the server will have an address. So using the addresses, the numbers, it's like phone numbers, two parties, right? For you to reach me, you have to know my phone number. For me to reach you, so that's the phone number way of connecting. Machines, they don't connect by phone numbers. Their way of identifying one machine from the other is using the TCP/IP address. TCP/IP address, as I told you, goes something like this. 0 to 255, right, is one octet, and then 0 to 255 is another one. There are four, 0 to 255 and 0 to 255. So it can be any number in between. So 196, 218, 32, 45. That is one address. That is one address. That's one phone number, right? That's one phone number. That's one address. So every machine will get an TCP/IP address if you are on the internet. Believe it or not, your your laptop will have an TCP/IP address. Now the TCP/IP address of this machine is you could go and then you could look into that, right? I mean, I don't know if I really want to do that, but you can look at that by going into CMD, and you can say IP config, right? And I think IP I don't know. So anyways, I'm not going to take you there because it's taking away from our major thing that we need to learn, which is now different operating systems I might have forgot the command to check the IP address. If any one of you knows, you can let me know. But every machine will have an IP address, right? Every domain will have an IP address, so you can ping an IP address. So as an example, if you want to go and say ping www.microsoft.com, you should be able to see the IP address of that. Again, probably I'm I'm doing something wrong. But that's how the older systems they used to work and give you the IP address. Maybe Windows 7, it's slightly different. But that's not something that you and I, we have to worry about. What we have to worry about is the data is flowing in the envelope. So if the data is flowing in the envelope, now what we need to do is how to pass the data inside the envelope. So you and I, we are not mailmen that we have to open the envelope and we have to put something in there. All that is done by SoapUI. So what we got to do right now is to learn about how to test. And when you do that, the thing that you should be focusing is that goes after the body and before the body. This is what we have to be worrying about. This is what we have to be worrying about. All this is inside the SOAP envelope. This is all XML, and we will do a little bit of XML down the road as we progress. Right now, I have to get you started, and the way I'm going to be getting you started is by going back to day 1 of your job, or day 2 or day 3, where they will tell you to test a web service. To test a web service, we got to have the WSDL, which is nothing but the address. And once it is given to us, there's a lot of technical information in it. So we will take the help of the SoapUI to understand the WSDL. How does SoapUI understands the WSDL? Once you connect to it, it will expose to you your interface, and the interface will have one or more operations, and each operation has a request, and it's the request that we have to be supplying the parameters to. And once we say run, automatically it gets packaged into a SOAP envelope, and the data is sent to the server, and the whole story, whatever I've told you, will happen. It goes to the server. On the server, some web server will be acknowledging the request coming on port 80, and then they will respond, and the response will be some data that is coming back, and then we have to render that data. Okay, now that's what we got to be doing. Why is it shaking like that? Wow, hang on, is something? Oh, now I know. I kept mine. Okay, so any questions so far? I mean, it was too much of talking, but I hope it was productive talking, in the sense that I was conveying some information to you. Day 1, they say that welcome aboard. I want you to test, and here is the WSDL. All right. Okay. So the documentation that they are going to give you, right? And only so that I have covered a lot of theory, and I want to get into how to test it. So this is the WSDL, right? This is the address of where the WSDL is. Now watch. According to what I have been telling you, right? For this to happen, for it to send the data back and forth and all that, this must happen. Meaning I have to start with the workspace. And because WSDL has been given to us, now SoapUI needs that WSDL to connect to the server, right? So I got to go and open SoapUI. So I opened SoapUI. Now, how do I basically tell SoapUI that this is the WSDL? I have to open a project. You cannot open a project unless you have a workspace. So we go and create a workspace, file, new workspace. So here's my workspace. I'm going to give it a name. So just for our easy identification, I'm going to call it D as in day and the number of day. So day 2. And I will give it a name. This is what? October 2015, day 2. And whatever I'm doing. So let me keep it this way, right? In real life, this would be your project. So let's say we have to test. This is the scenario that we are testing. They say that the objective or the goal is to test the credit card processing, right? Component of the web service. So to test the credit card component of the web service. So we have to know the WSDL that we will know, and from the WSDL if everything is connected, I will get the interface, and that interface will expose the operation or operations, and I have to basically run or call the request. And calling the request would require me to pass some data. Now, the request can be the name of the request, and all that I will get to know once I connect the WSDL and get the interface and get the operations. Then only I will get to know what is the request. So the information is too technical and inside the WSDL, right? So we said this, right? It's too technical. But even though I will be showing you how to understand that technical information, right now I'm relying on what? I'm relying on SoapUI as a tool to help me. So I open SoapUI and I go in here and I enter. So let's say the name of the company is ePay, right? ePay, and so ePay systems. So for ePay systems, I am testing for the ePay systems the credit card processing, and let's say this is build, and I'll just give a number, build 10:07:15. So this is how probably at work you would name it, right? And this is the workspace. Hit enter. Now you want to save this again internally. This is an XML document. You want to save it. So I have told you the best way to do that is create a folder, because we are keeping everything in this folder. Create a SoapUI training folder. Inside it, create these folders. So one of the folders that I want you to create is SoapUI_workspaces. So inside the workspaces, as you can see in my previous classes, I have so many workspaces. So I'm going to be putting this workspace in there, right? So I created the workspace. Next thing is I got to go and then create a project. So when you say new project, it's going to come back and say that, hey, when you are creating a new project, I know that at least there are two types of web services. There is REST web service, and then there is a SOAP web service. So which one you want to create? So the REST services, I'm not teaching that today, but they can be created if you know the URI, right? So right now I will go with this one, create a project from, and we expect that we have the WSDL. So I will take the WSDL here and I will hit OK. So they would have given the path of the WSDL, right? So path of the WSDL, you put it in the second one, put the path of the. Now here, be careful, and I will the path of the WSDL must include this question mark and WSDL. If you don't include that, then you will have some errors. So you got to be including this WSDL, right? So let me show it to you. If I don't include the WSDL, let's say if I remove that WSDL, see, I did not include the WSDL. And if I hit OK, right, and it is trying to connect, and it did connect, but then I have something, error loading WSDL, and because it's confused, because we did not end it with question mark and WSDL, right? So it's confused. So I have to go back and I have to put in that question mark and WSDL. That is the complete WSDL, and I will hit OK now. Now it has created that project. It has created that project. Now there are a couple of ways for me to go into the project. Either I can click on that and go to the project, or you can just go and then click on this project. It will take you into the project. Now here's the deal. There are so many things in here inside this tool that it's not even fun, because it is going to confuse the heck out of a new person about what is happening in here. So many things in here, right? Okay, so we're gonna play dumb right now, and we will, if you don't want to be bothered, so you should not even be looking at certain things. I mean, that's the mentality I was raised back in my country, and not me, but any and everybody else, at least at that time when I was growing up, right? We can never dare to even look at a cop. Because if you look at a cop, he might come and then he might hit you. You're like, what? What are you talking about? What country you are from? Well, I am proud that I am from India, but when we were growing up, you cannot do things like that. You cannot look at a cop. You cannot, because they could come and my teacher. I mean, it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's debatable, and it's a topic for another day. But I was whipped on my butts many times, on my butt, right? I went to a Catholic school, and my classes used to start at 9 o'clock. And for us to get to the gate, if we are not there by 9:01, my father, not my father, the brother or the father, the Catholic father, he who was the rector or the head or the principal of my school, he used to stand there at 9 o'clock with a big huge cane in his hand, and anybody who is running to the gate at 9:01, he will stop them, he will catch, and he will whip on our butt. So my butt used to be swollen out of 5 days, 3 days. And when I come back, I used to complain it to my dad, like, Dad, let's go a little earlier. And my dad was in government, and you know how things work in government. I mean, he would get up like 8:30 for me to drop, for him to drop me to the school. Anyway, so that's that. I don't know why I even care to bring it up. The reason I did that is because I wanted you to not look at this. This is like your principal. If you look at him, he might call you and he might whip you. So don't look at this. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Well, just for today, don't look at it, right? As we progress into, I am going to make you an expert, and that is my promise. You just wait and watch. You will be known almost anything and everything that this tool has to offer. I will be teaching you, hopefully. You just have to bear with me. Anyways, so coming back, if you see, there is the menu items. There are a lot of menu items on the top, and as we progress, we'll be looking into things in here. This is basically this is going to change the tool bar is going to change based on the context of what we are doing. And then we have here, this is the project, and currently we are looking at this TRE-Pay systems. Now there are two greenish things in here, right? There are two. Okay, what are those things? Basically, anytime if you don't know anything, this is what you got to do, right? Keep an eye in this area. This will tell you where we are, what are we dealing with. So if you don't know where we are, this is what you got to do. You got to click on it, and then this will tell you where we are. So right now we are looking at the interface. Now this is also an interface. Now you would say, why there are two interfaces? Well, when a developer, when he's creating a web service, right, he has the option of offering two versions of it. So SOAP protocol, this is the older version, this is the newer version of it. SOAP 1.2, this is the older version. So for backward compatibility, he is exposing both of them, right? So in real life and today, chances are you will not be using both, you will just be using one. So I'll just to reduce the confusion, I'm just gonna let go, because they're both the same. Inside it, if you see, it's authorization, capture, cache advance, and inside it you see the same thing: authorization, capture, cache advance, right? So everything. So it's redundant. So I'll let go one. So I will highlight on that, and I will say remove. I will say remove, and it says that, hey, do you want to remove that? I'll say yes, remove it. Right. So now we are left with, this is the latest version of the SOAP 1.2, and this is what? This is basically your interface. Interface exposes what? Operations. So let me look at the operations. If I expand, here are my operations. I'll come to the right side in a minute. Let me just focus on the left side. So here how many operations this web service is offering. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 15 or 20 or whatever, right? Now, each operation has a request, right? So if I go in here, capture, there is a request, cache advance, there's a request, create customer, there's a request, create password, export transactions. We have no clue what these are, but they're all. So let's go one by one, and for me to test all, I have to test at least one, right? So let me start off with this authorization first, and let me look into what is authorization. Authorization is an operation exposes the request. So now this is a SOAP, S-O-A-P, SOAP request. SOAP request will have what? Envelopes and all that, right? So if I double click, the right hand side changes, and the pro version will give me this form, the non-pro version will give me the XML. So I will teach you basically a little bit difficult version of it first, and then the easy little later. So if you look into this tab is telling you that there are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's making your life easy. 5 what? These are 5 parameters that you have to pass. 5 parameters, right? So it's making your life easy because you can just look at it and you say that this CC, I will enter this CC, and in the documentation they will tell you the CC is nothing but it's a credit card number, and then you have to put in the credit card number, and you will put the credit card number. And this is self-explanatory, so I don't really have to explain that EXP MNTH is the month that you have to put in. So let's say the expiration of the month is 12. CVV2 is the back of the card, so back of the card is a 3-digit, except for American Express, which is 4. So that's that. And year is a 2-digit, so 2020. And amount that we need to process. Now, amount that I need to process is 319. Now, think about it. Now, hold on, and think about it. This can be what we are doing is a very little piece that we are testing, which can be a part of a huge application. So if there was an application that was using this little piece, that application would have been something like this, right? Let's say if I take you in there, and if I take you into an application, and this is TrainingRite.net online, right? All this is a test thing, right? Now I am showing you, I will show you the need for SoapUI, as a tool, right? And I will make my point in couple of minutes. So let me just show you that this is an application. The application is an e-commerce application where you will search for a product, and then once you find a product, then you will go and you will buy that product, right? So this is the application, and this can be like any other application like eBay or Amazon, or you name, it can be anything. So let me search for something. I'm searching for, let's say, Panasonic, and I hit enter, and there are some TVs in here. So I'm going to take this Panasonic. So I will add it to my cart, and I add it to cart, my Panasonic, and and there is a discount of $100. Total is $253. I like it so much that I want to give it a gift to my in-laws. So I'm just going to make it 2, right? Keep them happy always. So 2, and when you recalculate, so it is going to change the total, and that's that. Now it's time for me to check out, let's say, or I can go here and buy more. Like I want to buy, let's say, we bought a TV, so let's give them some camera. Now you would say, why are you showering your in-laws with these? Was there a problem? No, there was no problem. I like them, so here is what I'm doing. So I like the TV, I like the camera, and this is what they're gonna get, and I will proceed to checkout. Now, when you proceed to checkout, I got to enter my information, and if you see in here, this part, I will enter all my information, right? Now, I want you to focus on this part, right? See this part? So this part is behind the scenes. I mean, here I will select whatever I would do in here, but behind the scenes, it will take this credit card number, back of the card, expiration, and all that, and it will call what? It will call this either the authorization or maybe the sale. The sale will also have something like that. See, the sale also has that. Authorization also has that. The difference between the sale and the authorization is sale is instantly you're collecting the money. Authorization is you're putting a hold on it, like a rain check or whatever, right? Putting a hold on that money. You're not collecting the money. So now the GUI part of the application could be like this. It could be a part of a huge application, but behind the scenes the web service is primarily only this part. I want to take this, I want to, so we do not care about the application. Why? Because in this case I showed you the application. In real life, the application or the GUI might not even be ready. The GUI is not ready because developers, they come in different shapes and forms and different groups. In the sense, some developers are developing only web services, some developers are developing the front end, the GUI part of it, some developers are doing the business logic layer, right? So maybe there are 4 developers in that project, and one of the guy is responsible for the web services, and he's left and right, he is building the web services. He has nothing to do with the front end. Some other guy would be doing that, and he's not even ready right now to do that. He's bogged down with so many other things. So but now you as a tester, you have been hired to test the web services. So as he's creating it, you are testing it. There is no front end right now. Once the front end comes, it's the Selenium or QTP or some other guy's job to test the front end, if it is rendering properly on the front end or not. Your job is to test the web service. So the way you're going to be testing the web service is using this tool now. If everything works behind the scenes, then the front part of it can be tested using Selenium or QTP and all that. And you probably might not be that tester, or you might be that tester as well. So now you are leveraging your knowledge of the back-end testing of the web services using the SoapUI tool, your front-end testing of the GUI, functional testing using Selenium and QTP. Now you are that complete package. You are that complete package, and you go with confidence, and you say that I can test. I can test. I can test using Selenium. I can test using UFT. I can test using my SoapUI. And you are that one-man show. You are that one person who they have been praying for, right? Rather than having 3 testers, they can, of course, probably depending on the size of the project, you, even though you are a very knowledgeable person knowing all of these tools, but a man can do so much. So there is a need for them to hire some other testers and all that. But guess what? Because of your talent and your skills and your knowledge of knowing, you definitely will be preferred compared to some other guy who claims himself or herself as only one skilled person. You have so that's why now I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I want to congratulate those of you folks who are taking more than one course with us, like Selenium with Java, Ruby Cucumber, and UFT, and right? Again, not trying to sell you anything in here, but congratulating you for knowing all of these things. Now you are trying to put those pieces together and see how the front end and the back end and all that is tying together. Anyway, let's come back. So here is that credit card number that they would have entered, and they would have entered the month and then CVV2 and the year, and the amount would come from wherever. So this is what is going to be passed in the envelope. Now, life is easy if you use the Pro version. What if you don't have the Pro version? Then you have to know about this. It's too small, so let me copy it, Control C, open a notepad, and now show you this. And give me a second in here. Format and word wrap. What happened in here? One second. Notepad. And okay, now let me bump it up a little bit so that we can see a little better. Okay, I want you, this is what I was typing. This is what I would, oh, not this one. This is what I was typing, right? I was typing, and if you focus on this one, I want you to read this. There is an envelope, and then there will be so many other things, and then there will be a header, then there will be a body, and anything from body open to body close is the one that we need. And that the top one will be the name of the request, and the rest is what we are passing to it, right? You got the idea here. Now with that, let's come back here and take a look. This is soap envelope, and we will talk about that. Then comes my header, then comes my body, and anything inside the body is the call to that request. Now, what is the name of the operation? Authorization. Oh, this is authorization. This is the name of the operation, right? Okay, and what are we passing to it? This TEM, don't worry about TEM, because in the previous one I told you TRA. I will explain you what the TEM is in a minute, but look into this. strcc, and this is the number, and strexp month, this is the number, cvv2, this is 234, year 20, and amount is 399, end of authorization and beginning of authorization, everything in between, right? You get it? Okay, very good. Now if I take you back and if I tell you, oh, you know what, let's say there is no pro version, because we typed it in the pro version. If I don't have to type it in the pro version, and if I go, let me take the sale, right? I come in here, and if I go in here, so now I have to type. Now let me just see if I could bump it up a little bit in here. Now with so many tools, I kind of like preferences, editor, right? Select font, bump it up to 16, and it's a shame that it doesn't reflect immediately. It's a shame it doesn't reflect immediately. I have to close and come back for it to show. But I don't know if you I've taken long time for me to close and come back. It'll take some more time, so I don't know if you can watch it, but I want you to see how I'm gonna enter some details in here. So here is my soap header body, and this is my sale. Right? Sale is my operation, and the request has how many parameters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I put, see the question mark here? There I have to put my credit card number. So let me just come up with a credit card number. That's the credit card number. The other one is what? My expiration month 2-digit. So let's say that is 07. And this is CVV2. I can put 285. And this is the year 2-digit. Let me put 18. And the amount, let me put as $786.92, right? Okay, so this is basically what might come from here. This is basically what it might come from here when this is ready. So this is not even, imagine this is not ready. If this is not there at all, so if it is not there, but still I gotta make sure that the web service is functional, and because this web service is where this web service is on the server. The developer had already created it. He is telling me that it's all good, you go and test. I don't have a GUI to test, so I will use the SoapUI to test. So this is what is happening. I'm using SoapUI. I'm entering this, expecting that when the GUI will be ready, this is what they would be typing from the GUI. And now I will run. So if I run, if developer had created it successfully, what should I expect here? They will tell you what to expect. If you are giving a credit card with some expiration back of the card and this and that, you should expect that it will process the credit, that transaction. You should expect, or it will give you some error. Rather than that, if it doesn't give you anything, if it is everything is like a error or giving you some information which doesn't make sense, then your web service is not working. So let's see if it is working or not. So this is the call. This is the request that you are sending with the data to execute that function on the server. Now, when you send it, the blink of an eye, you have this information back. What is the information that is coming back? It says that your sale transaction for the credit card number was approved and the approval number. Now, this again is a feature of Pro version. Non-Pro will come back in an XML envelope. So let me take you there. Here it is. So XML envelope, right? And body. And what I am interested in is what the response. So let me take the whole thing. You have seen the request. Let me show you the response. This was the request. Let me show you the response. This is the response. Again, coming back in the SOAP envelope. This is the body. Actual response is this. This is the which response? Sale response. If I ran this for authorization, will you see authorization response or sale response? Of course, the name of the request, that name of the request response. And the actual result is your sale transaction with the credit card number was approved, and this is the transaction number, right? Very good. Excellent. So now we know as how to basically test. This is a simple test, right? Here is the deal. They give you 55 numbers, different numbers. American Express, Discover, Visa, MasterCard, Diners card, some Australian card, some Greek card. You don't want to take a Greek card. Countries going down the drain, so you might have an issue. So anyway, so you might have hundreds of those cards. So are you going to come and type those things in here? If you tell me that, oh yeah, that's what I would say, get the heck out of my group. Because I want to hire an automated test engineer, not a manual tester, because that is manual testing now. So how are we going to do automated testing in SoapUI? Well, if I tell you in the next 5 minutes, I will make you, right, an expert of automated testing with data-driven testing in next 5 minutes. Would you believe me? You would say, come on, this is so much of exaggeration. But it's not me. I'm not doing anything. It's the tool. The Pro version makes your life so easy that it really hurts. It is so easy. Life is so easy that you are like, what? There's no challenge. And that is exactly what happens with SoapUI Pro version. There is not much of a challenge because everything the tool does for you. And I will show it to you in 5 minutes. Everything is done. So the problem is the non-pro, wherein you have no help from the tool. At that time, you have to know Groovy. So I am laying the plot. I'm justifying the need for you to learn programming because your company does not want to use the Pro version. Now, if your boss is a nice guy like I am, then I would say, not because, you have to be nice. You have to see, it has to make sense. The justification is, by using the Pro version, I am saving, many hours of manual labor from an automated tester. How come? Because even the automated tester, if he is using the non-pro, he has to program, and the programming will not happen just like that, meaning he will take 2 days to write that script. He or she will take 2 days. In 2 days, you have how many hours? 8 times 8, 16 hours. 16 hours, if you're paying the guy at the rate of $50 per hour, and for 16 hours is almost close to $1,000, whereas the tool is $400. So just one task, and he is not going to be just writing for 2 days. That is only for 2 days. You would need to write the code for the sale and for this, the ePay system build one. Maybe if you have some other functionality that is for invoicing, and that is for billing, that is for reconciling your charge, whatever the web service has to offer. Now, every time you write code, you are losing time and you're losing money. So I would blindly go with the Pro version, but you will have some, I don't want to be too crazy defining how and who they are, but you will have some weird, managers or team leads who doesn't want to, budge, and then they don't want to go with the Pro version. They say that no, let's not do that. Oh, probably one of the reasons for that is they don't want to be seen sitting idle, because the tool will do the job in no time and you have nothing to do. Then even if you have to scratch, you have to scratch in slow motion. You have to talk in slow motion because you got to kill some time and create some billable hours. How would you do that? Because the tool has done everything for you. So maybe they are looking from that perspective, and to stretch the project a little bit, they will say that let's not go with the Pro version. Let's write the code. I mean, I don't see any value in it, but what do I care? I will teach you both. So, but it is your job to convince your manager that, hey, we are better off going with the Pro version, because this is the reason for that, right? Anyways, it's not too difficult. Okay. So far so good. We have come to this point where we can run and we can get some results for a single. Now, if I have to do it for 20 sets of data, first things first, I got to do what? I got to prepare my data. So I'm going to go and prepare my data. So I have created a folder called test data inside my SoapUI training test data, and I have some data. So let me pull some data from one of the previous batch, right? So let me pull this April batch or whatever batch, right? So let me pull that, and it's an Excel. So inside Excel, I have, now this is a sample data. If you see here, I have, this is one credit card, another credit card. How many I have? I have 26 cards. And this is the expiration of year and a month and year and amount to process. And we might have to create the CVV too. So we have some test data in Excel, right? And I might have some better data. I don't know if I look into the other, we might have some better data. Let's see. Yeah, so this is slightly better in the sense we have even the names of the cards, right? There is JCB, MasterCard, Visa, Dancorp, whatever. So there's some test data. All right. So the data is sitting here. So let's, today is day 2, right? And imagine most of the companies, they will, training companies who are teaching, they will try to keep it for the last day, because they want to make a big deal about, oh, we are doing a data-driven, automated testing using SoapUI, big deal for the, I will cover right here on day 2, right? Why? Because in the next 6 days, I will be teaching you so much that, you will have nothing else but to say this, that, wow, I know so much. All right. Okay. Here's the deal. Here we have what? SoapUI. SoapUI. Here is your, this is your, this is your project, and this is your interface, right? And this is your operation, right? And this is your request. When you do that, this right side opens up, and right side has 2 parts to it. and one part is the request, then this is the request part, and this is the response part. All right. Okay. Now you notice in the request part you have the XML, and we have to type the single things in here. We have to type, right? Okay. Now we are saying that I have 50 in Excel. So this is Excel now. This is Excel, and we have I'm just throwing a number 50. It can be any number. 50 sets of data. So what we want to do is we want this data to be read from Excel into those requests. I want it to be read directly into those requests. How is it going to happen? Right now that you know that it has to read, right, one set, it has to send it to the internet, right, over the internet to the server here, and the server will send the envelope back, right? The envelope comes back, and we will show in the response that yes, the card is good or not good or whatever, right? And then it has to go to the next one and send the next one, and then so it has to do 50 times with no intervention from you, right? Because you will set it up and then it has to do it. So for this is the scenario. For this, we need what is called a test suite. If you recall, on day one, I said we got to be knowing about all of these things, which is workspace, project, interface, operations, request, response, WSDL, and then we should be knowing about the test suite, right? And the test case or cases, and then the test step or test steps. So these are the things we got to be knowing. So now we will look into how to create a test suite, how to create a test case, and how to create a test step. All right. Okay. Why? Because in order for you to do the parameterization of data meaning that bring the data from some repository. So in order to do a data-driven testing, you have to have the need of creating a test suite and a test case and the test step. So let's get going with that. Okay, so here we are. We say that, okay, I have this what? I have this interface, right? I have this interface. From the interface, you have to create a test suite. So you highlight it. Doesn't matter if it is exposed or it is collapsed, expanded or collapsed. Better collapse. Right click on that and say generate. Generate what? Generate a test suite. So let's do that. We do it. So it says, oh, you want to create a test suite. That's what you want to do. You want to create. Yeah. What is the style of this test suite? Okay. Right now, I am going to take the default setting. In the next class, I will explain you the difference between the two. I'm going to take this default setting, which is one test case for each operation. Hang on. How many operations we have? Oh, we have at least 15 or 20 operations. That means that I will have 15 or 20 test cases. If you see here, generate test suite, according to this, one test case for each operation. So there will be 15 test cases. So the other style is one test case, every operation inside it. Now, do you want this or what is the difference between the two? Shall I go with this, go with that? What is the drawback? What is the advantages? Okay, we'll talk about it in future. Right now, I'm taking that, right? Second thing, request content. Do you want to use the existing request in the interface? Now, what do you mean by existing request? I just ran with this data. So you want to use this data? Do you want to use this data or no? You want as an empty? Well, I don't care about that data because I want the data to come from Excel. I want it to come from Excel. So you can say create new empty request, right? Makes sense. Okay. Third thing, operations. Oh, we got so many operations. I can scroll down, right? Now, do I want to choose all or I want to unselect? Oh, I want only this. Let's go with all. Okay, so if you want to test all, go and have all. If you want to select, you could select. Okay, very good. Right now, we are not doing the load testing, so I'm not going to be worrying about that. I would hit OK. So what are we doing now? Generating a test suite. So don't we have to give it a name? Of course we got to give it a name. What is the name? Oh, this was for ePay. So this is TR, TrainingRite, ePay, system, SOAP test suite. You want to call that, or you want to call something, anything is fine, just that. So I'm just going to keep it like that and hit OK. It's going to spin, 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 depending on how fast your machine is, probably like, for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and it's gonna do what? See, it's a little bit overwhelming now when you see things on the right side, left side. It's a little bit overwhelming right now. Don't worry about it. There are so many things, and that is exactly what we'll be doing later on. See here the tabs here: properties, setup, setup script, tear down script, right? Something that we might have heard in some other course, right? Like Selenium or what. So we'll be dealing with all that. So now let me focus here on the left side first, right? Show you about the left side. Okay. Where is my thing highlighted here? Right here on the top. If I collapse it, notice again, same thing. This will tell me that it's the workspace. I am in the workspace. This will tell me that it's the project, and this will tell me what? This will tell me that I am in the test suite. Now, I don't know if you have noticed, but this side, right? Now, we were looking at start and project. We did not look into this side. Now, this side is what is getting highlighted, meaning that we are looking at the SoapUI New Generation Pro Test Suite. Okay, inside this test suite, we have how many test cases? Operation is a test case. Capture is a test case. Because of that selection, we said one test case for each operation. So here is my operation, right? And authorization is what I want to test. If I expand, here is the authorization. What is this authorization? That is a request. That's a request. If I double click on that, same deal. On the right side, I have the same thing that we have seen before, right? Same thing. Again, there is an XML. Again, there is an this form and all that. Now, I have to do what? I have to bring the data from Excel, correct? I have to bring the data. Now, it cannot be any easier than no programming. Look at it. You highlight the test case, you right click, and you say add a step. And now if you see, there are so many steps in here. And that is exactly where we are going to be beginning in the next class. I will be showing you to take what is called a data source step. And once you take a data source step, you highlight it, you tell that I want to connect to Excel, and you do that by saying I want to connect to Excel, and then within seconds you will bring the data from Excel and pass it. So I'm going to stop here so that in the next class I will even remove this. I will even delete that so that in the next class we start here. So I have come to a point where I have explained you how to create a test suite, and test suite will give you your test cases inside it. To that you can add test steps, and each of these test steps is capable of doing so many things. If you want to connect to Excel, we will be using data source. That's where we're going to start in the next class. The assignment for today, I want you to send me a screenshot showing exactly like this. What are you going to achieve with that, or better this way, right? And wherein you can at least pass something. What are you going to achieve with this if you give me this screenshot? What I will know is, number one, you not only have downloaded the SoapUI Pro, but you have created, because if I see this test suite here, then I know that you not only know as how to do, because you cannot be creating the test suite unless you have the interface, and the interface comes from a project, and project is inside the workspace. So you know as how to create a workspace, you know as how to create a project, you know as how to create an interface. You would have tested a request of one of the operations in there, and then from there you know as how to generate a test suite. You created the test suite. I can see that you understand the concept of inside the test suite there can be multiple test cases, and you have expanded this authorization, and I can see all this. If you come to this point, I am impressed because you have followed everything. Don't be surprised, hear me, don't be surprised if you are able to do it in 5 minutes. And then you would be thinking, what made Irfan take 2 hours to do it when I can do it in 5 minutes? That is exactly the point. And I will pose this question to you. What took me 2 hours to do this when you can do it in 5 minutes? So who is better, you or me? Exactly. You are going to become so better by the end of this course that you would be like, gosh, I am so good. All right. With that, we're going to be ending it here, and I will be taking your questions.